no. Wait. But also, I can't get on Facebook Live for some reason. Okay. Are you ready? Good morning. I'm Kristen, and I am the president of the board of CSL Leesburg. Our theme for this year is 2020 Spiritual Vision. This month of May, our focus is listening to your heart. And our talk today is called The Path Made Clear. Right now, we're opening our sacred space together, setting our intentions for our service and bringing our awareness of our unity and oneness, which is represented by this one lit candle. I invite you to close your eyes as we bless this service and our time together. Together, let us recognize the divine presence that moves through all things. And know that this presence of love expresses as each of us in unique and beautiful ways. And I know that we are blessed by this time together, and that we are each renewed in our remembrance of love, peace, wholeness, and connection. I give thanks for everyone in attendance, everyone here who made our service possible today, mainly Charlene, as she handles all of the technology. And so special gratitude surrounding Charlene. And also our musicians, Nina, Leanne, and Tim. And may the energy of love that is generated here bless us and all abundantly. And so it is. And while we're in the space of blessings, I ask you if you have any requests for prayers to speak it out now or type it into the chat. And I'm just going to quickly check to the chat. I see prayers for Tim's dad, who's having some memory problems, and his wife, shoulder surgery. And from Karen, prayers for Christopher. And from Larry, all frontline workers. Okay, if your prayer has not been chatted or spoken, know that it is known in the mind of oneness. So I ask you right now, if you would mind closing your eyes and connecting into that sacred space that I'm becoming more and more aware of. That this divine presence moves through all things and is all things. And it is in this divine space that I see and I live and I do and I have my being. And I know that this oneness connects all of us on this path of living right now and expressing the ways that we do right now, that this oneness is becoming more and more made known. There's no separation. And I know in the complete wholeness and love and in the divine mind that we completely heal and know oneness for Tim's dad, seeing him perfect, whole, and complete, where he is right now, and holding him in this highest vibration of prayer. And I breathe and know complete love, healing, and wholeness for his wife, who's going through shoulder surgery, seeing the shoulder complete, whole, and perfect. And I breathe and know peace, love, complete spirit, oneness for Christopher. that this divine love holds and moves through him in the most amazing and beautiful ways. And all frontline workers who do their job so selflessly, and we see them embodying this highest mental equivalent of oneness, working toward the highest and common good for all involved. And so I'm filled with gratitude, knowing that the words that I speak are spoken through the heart with complete love. And I simply say, and so it is. Breathing in, we move now to our musicians.
Good morning.
Here is Nina.
Good morning. I'm going to sing God Within Me by Denise Rozier. I love with the heart of God within me. I sing with the voice of God within me. I rest in the peace of God within me. Everything praises God within me. I know with the mind of God within me. I pray with the faith of God within me. I trust in the power of God within me. Everything praises God within me. I am a safe and loving place, full of beauty and amazing grace. I laugh with the joy of God within me. I shine with the light of God within me. I am who I am because of God within me. Everything praises God within me. Everything praises God within me. Everything praises God within me.
Yes, thank you, Nina, and Tim back there on the drums as well. So good morning, everyone. I'm Reverend Sunday Cote, if you're joining us from on Facebook or not in our community, and just happy to be here. It's a Memorial Day weekend, so we want to just take a moment to acknowledge, Memorial Day was born to acknowledge and to honor those who have given their life in service to our country and the military. And so I was reading a little bit about Memorial Day. I thought it was kind of interesting that the first Memorial Day, the first National Memorial Day, was held on May 30th, 1868. It was after the Civil War, where we had lost somewhere between 600,000 to 800,000 soldiers, both Union and Confederate. And, that was a lot, and that was back in the 1860s. And so it was honoring both soldiers on each side at the Arlington National Cemetery. But I found it really interesting. I found a story about what may be actually the first true Memorial Day that happened 3 years earlier, and it's a story around around Charleston, South Carolina, a racetrack there, and the racetrack during the war was converted. This clubhouse and this racetrack was converted to a prisoner of war camp for Union soldiers. And I guess it was reportedly that about 260 Union soldiers died there from disease or exposure being on the open air track. It was an actual horse track. And their bodies were buried hastily. There's this report that when Charleston fell and the Confederate troops evacuated, the formerly enslaved people were the first to come. What they did is they exhumed the mass grave and they moved them to a new cemetery with a whitewashed fence inscribed "Martyrs of the Racecourse." And this was thought of as maybe the first Memorial Day. And then on May 1st, 1865, it's reported that a group of about 10,000 people, mostly formerly enslaved people, and some white missionaries had a parade around the racetrack. And there were school children there, and some of the members of the famed 54th Massachusetts troop, which was primarily a Black troop, played music and did regiment, and this was this really big event. But what kind of happened over history is that the racetrack was raised and new things came up, and that history was lost either on purpose because it wasn't something that the white Southerners wanted to think about, or just through record keeping. But it's a story that's beginning to be told more and more. And so if you have a chance and you want to look it up, it's Martyrs of the Racecourse, the first Memorial Day, actually, on May 1st, 1865. So tomorrow is actual Memorial Day, and there's a tradition to have a moment of silence at 3 p.m. local time, wherever you are, to take a moment of silence. But I thought that would be nice for us to do today, since we're all together, to just take 1 minute of silence to honor the fallen men and women, and to know love and support for their families, their loved ones whose lives were permanently altered by their loss. And there's many still today that are dealing with that loss, and will continue to be. And so let's just take that moment of silence in whatever way you want to do. Just go into your heart, bless and honor those who lost their lives and their family and loved ones as well. And if you're one of those people who've lost a loved one, we just honor and love you as well in this moment of silence. So it is. Thank you. Thank you for that. So this whole month we've been talking about listening to your heart, kind of honing into what that means, to that divine presence that moves through all of us. And today the talk title is The Path Made Clear. So I was kind of going in with that one. So what does it mean to make a path clear, and how is it that we clear our path? And have you ever had to clear a path? We all probably have cleared a path at some point in our lives. And when I was thinking of this, I began thinking about when Robert and I, when our family lived in our former house, and we lived on 2 acres of land, and we lived at the very back of those 2 acres, and so we had a very long driveway to the highway. And a few years ago, we've had some pretty light winters, but a few years ago, you probably all remember, if you're from our area, that there were actually a couple, but there was one that was like, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 feet of snow. I mean, it was crazy. And we had actually parked our car a little bit closer to the road, but we couldn't get it completely to the road, and so we had to clear path, and we had to shovel our way through. And it took us about 3 days, actually. And every day we'd get up and we would chomp our way to where we had started, and it was just one shovel scoop at a time, right? Just one shovel. But we knew we could see where we wanted to go. And we wanted to go to that highway. We wanted to get out there. So we had a real clear vision of what it was. And so it made the strategy easy. Someone said, when the vision is clear, the decisions are easy, or the strategy is easy. When we have that clear vision, where we're going. And so that's kind of the first thing to start thinking about when we talk about making the clear the path, make the path clear, is, what's that vision? What is it why are we clearing this path? Where do we want to go? And so I started thinking about that as far as what my vision from early on in my own spiritual life, that I had this clear vision early on that my path was to, be a part of healing the illusion of separation between the divine source and humankind. And that kind of has expanded, as you'll see it in our vision statement for CSL Leesburg, of awakening to our innate oneness, which is healing the illusion of separation with divine source, with each other and our planet. So it's that widening circle of that healing that illusion of separation is really a bigger picture of connecting our oneness. And it's an illusion, right? Because we're not really disconnected, but so it's our thought. So we're awakening to this awareness. And so I was kind of holding on to that, like, well, that's that path for me. That's the path I think we are in our center. And so I started looking at Robert Brummett's book. He has a book called Living Originally. And that's what he talks about, that when we live originally, we're living from that very pure place within us that was always there, our original blessing, the original source of who we are. And what happens is we get away from that original source and we forget. We get out into the world and we forget that there's an original source within us, that's what we're coming back to. This is what we're coming back to. And this is a transformational process. It's an ongoing process, moving from looking out in the world, allowing the world of effects to rule us, to coming into that original source of our good. In the words of our teaching, we talk about coming from first cause as opposed to secondary cause. Secondary cause is all those things out there that we think are causing us challenge. But there's this first cause. The first cause is the divine presence that moves through us to create our world. And so, we can clear paths in our world of effects. We do that a lot, right? And that's oftentimes just trying to get the world out there to be the way we want it, but there's this transformational process of clearing from this place of first cause. And that's a much more challenging process, because in order to do that transformational process, we kind of have to get aware of our ego self, and we have to let go of our ego identification. Now, we're not getting rid of our ego. Our ego is very much a part of us, and we actually need it to live out in the world, but we have to allow ourselves to become less identified with that ego part of ourselves, become more identified with the divine truth of who we are. And that's our practice. That's our practice all the time, is moving from that identity to a world of separation, identity with the world of effects, identity with our ego part that has to play in that world, and move back into the awareness of the divine essence within us from that place of first cause. And so in David Brummett's book, Living Originally, he quotes Charles Fillmore, who's the co-founder of Unity. And he presents this model that I thought was so beautiful. And it's kind of complex, so I want you guys to just stick with me. I'm going to unpack it for you. But it's from his book, The Dynamics of Living, Charles Fillmore. And so just bear with me with this. We're going to talk about it. So he says, the subconscious is the vast realm that lies back of the conscious mind, and between it and the superconscious. It may be called the sensitive place of the mind. Its true office is to receive impressions from the superconsciousness and to reproduce them upon the canvas of the mind. Now, I'll stop there, because if you've taken any classes, that kind of sounds like the creative process, right? The divine mind moving through that subconscious, subjective mind out into the physical world, right? But Charles Fillmore says, humankind, however, having lost the consciousness of the indwelling divine presence, as an ever-present reality, has reversed the process and impressed the subconscious from the conscious mind. You get that? That's from the out in. It's reversed the process. And in this way, the former is made to register impressions according to the thought held in conscious mind at the time the impression is made. So that's a lot. That's a big mouthful. So I'm going to talk about it a little bit. And so what this is that, the conscious mind perceives and relates to the outer world, to the external world. But below that, there's this below this level of consciousness, there's a subconscious mind. This place where our memories are, where our beliefs are, where it's the subconscious level. But beyond the subconscious level, there's a super consciousness level of the mind. Bromert says this subconscious mind has constant access to the ever-present origin. That's the really important part, that there's a part of us that has constant access to this innate awareness of the ever-present origin of the divine. We have that within us. However, most people have no clue about that, right? They don't know anything about the superconsciousness mind. Just we lack awareness of it. And because we lack awareness of it, there's a deficiency in our subconscious mind, that part that is creating for us. And in science of mind, this would be the soil. It's deficient soil. It's not receiving the rich remembrance of the divine essence of who we are. And so it's creating from that place. Robert Brummett says, seemingly detached from the origin of ultimately love and wisdom and power, we subconsciously feel fear and lack and limitation. And in that conscious awareness, we may experience this as a vague sense of emptiness, of deficiency, and perhaps chronic sense of dissatisfaction. Can anybody relate to that? Relate to that sense of, when we're not feeling that connection, that origin of the ultimate love, the ultimate divine quality of love and wisdom and joy and peace and health and wholeness, then we project this place of dissatisfaction, of deficiency. And what we do is we try to alleviate that feeling by what? By turning to the outer world, by trying to get that outer world to fill us up, to fix us through, people, relationships, through money, through food, through all kinds of ways, attachment, shopping, all those things. We think that that's going to fill us up, that that's going to give us that sense of love and peace and wholeness. But this isn't ever going to work. And Robert Brummett talks about 2 reasons why this doesn't work. And the first is because the external world is incapable of filling that internal need. It can only be filled through the conscious awareness of that divine essence within us, through that super consciousness. So in my words, until we heal this illusion of separation from the higher self, the external world's not going to ever fix that for us. And the second, which is really important, is the subconscious mind, Robert Brummett says, projects its own unmet needs onto the external world, right? So the deficiency we feel inside is projected onto the external world, as is the assumed fulfillment of that deficiency. So he says, to the conscious awareness, the world has that which we urgently need. But the world also appears to contain that which prevents us from getting what we need. Thus, we see a fractured world, right? We see a world filled with separation, with conflict, with good and evil, good and bad. And Robert Brummett says, we see the world not as it is, but as we are, as we believe of ourselves, as we are feeling into ourselves. Is sounding familiar to you guys with our practices of what we talk about having to change from the inside? And this is where that shadow shows up, right? When you have a shadow presence, that belief, we project it out in the world, and then we blame it, but we also think that's where we're going to get it fixed. We can just fix this outer world. We can fix the outer people. We can make them be the way we want them to be. Then, we're going to feel healed. So when we're disconnected from this super consciousness, as in Charles Fillmore's definition, which is the true self of love, then we feel that deficiency of love in everything and all that we're working towards. And so we project that out into the world. So what do we do about this? You guys just breathe here for a second. Phew, that's a big thing, right? That's a big thing for us to talk about. So what do we do about that? And the only thing that we can do about that is to practice, is our spiritual practice. To begin to reverse this habit of looking out into the external world to find our connection to source. We have to turn around that creative process. So it's not the second cause, the effects, moving through our subconscious into the world again, but that it's from our super consciousness. It's from this divine place. We know this in the practice of our spiritual mind treatment, right? We recognize that divine source and we unify with it, and that is what creates in our world. That's what creates in our world. So we begin. So the way we do this, this practice, is that we begin to, we begin to really look at the external world. We need to be informed about the real world. We live in it. We have to participate in it. So we don't recede away from that. We recognize it, but then we also begin to focus more on our internal world. And what I mean by that really is literally, our thoughts, our sensations, our emotions. What is going on in our internal world? What is going on? It's as simple as that. And this is the practice of mindfulness. This is the practice of meditation. And when we begin to turn within through this practice of stopping and remembering and being mindful, we're developing 3 skills. The 3 skills are concentration power. That's the ability to focus on what you consider to be relevant at any moment, at any time. You want to be able to choose what you focus on at any given moment. That's concentration power, being able to do that. And this is from, these definitions I'm giving you are from Shenzhen Yang, who has a system of mindfulness called unified mindfulness. And he gives these really great definitions, but you can find it in any practice, any meditation practice. Concentration power. The second one is sensory clarity. That's just simply the ability to track and explore our sense experience in real time. What am I feeling right now? What am I seeing right now? What am I hearing right now? That can be in the outer world, it can be in the inner world. What is my mental talk right now? What am I seeing on my mental visual screen right now? What emotions am I feeling in my body? Where are they? That's sensory clarity. It's simple as that. And then one of the things that I love most about this practice is the third skill, which is equanimity. And equanimity doesn't mean that you just don't care. It doesn't mean that you don't have feelings and emotion. All it means is to allow your sense experience to come and go without push or pull. That's all it means. It means, oh, I'm feeling this right now. Huh. Okay. That's what I'm feeling. It's not, oh, I really want to hold on to this feeling, hold on to it. I'm afraid it's never going to go away. Or, get away from me. Go away, go away, go away. It's just, I'm just noting this experience that I'm having in this very moment without push or pull. And so again, it's important to remember that it has nothing to do with our actions out in the world. We still have to act out in the world. It's strictly about our sensory experience and not our behavior. Some people think when they get into a spiritual practice that they have to be this, monk that's never upset or never. No, that's not it at all. But we have equanimity around that. We acknowledge it and recognize it. And we're like, yeah, one of my meditation teachers said, we'll just say, yeah, and this too, and this too, and we don't get all caught up in it. So when we do this, when we do these practices, and this is a mindfulness practice or a meditation practice or a daily awareness practice, Robert Brummett says that 3 things happen. So this is like the benefit. So the 3 things happen. So we gradually cease to project our subconscious deficiencies, desires, conflicts out into the external world. We begin to see the external world more clearly, more realistically. Robert Brummett says, we see it as it is rather than as we are. And again, if you've ever taken my shadow classes or anything, you'll know that that's what we're doing. We're being able to see the world. Oh, this person, I waved at this person and they didn't wave back. And, the way we might get into it is, oh, she's mad at me. I can't believe she did that. Why is she not talking? We give this whole story. But when we're just consciously aware, when we're just awake, we notice, I'm having that thought that she's not talking to me. That's making me feel a little knot in my stomach. We detangle it to be able to just become aware of it. And then oftentimes what happens is that it changes what our outer experience is. And it opens us up to be able to say, I wonder if she's actually saw me. Maybe she's just really wrapped up in her world right now. And so we began to not take everything so personally in the outer world. The second thing that happens is we become more aware of the previously ignored contents of the subconscious. And this is the hardest one because, this is why it's so hard, right? This is why it's so hard for us to practice just a little bit of mindfulness, is because when we stop, we get to hear everything that's going on. We get to feel everything that's going on. Sometimes that's not fun. And so if we stay in emergency mode, crisis management in the outer world, we never have to look at the painful stuff inside of us in that subconscious. So it can be very painful because we stuff this pain and we run from it and we bury it and we numb it out. And, and this is the work, but this is healing work. It's healing pain. So, when a couple of weeks ago, I talked about, emotions and emotions. And if we can move through it, it's a healing. It might be uncomfortable in the moment, but it's healing. It's healing. And this is where we practice compassion. And this is where we practice equanimity. And the third, and this is the most important, Brumett says, we become more directly aware of the presence of the superconsciousness as we turn toward it. We become aware. We awaken to our innate oneness with divine, right? We see, Brumett says, we see the ultimate source of all we desire is from within. We begin to experience periods of deep peace and satisfaction that are unconditional. That's the key, right? They're unconditional. It's not about what's going on in the world. It's a deep peace and satisfaction within us. We see true happiness is not dependent upon our life circumstances. So we ultimately reverse this creative process. This brings us right back to Charles Fillmore's quote. I'm going to read it to you again. It might make a little more sense this time. Maybe not. So he says, the subconscious is the vast realm that lies back of the conscious mind and between it and the subconscious. So it may be called the sensitive place of mind. Its true office is to receive impressions from the superconsciousness, and to reproduce them upon the canvas of the mind. But humans, however, have lost the consciousness of the indwelling presence, has lost that innate knowingness as an ever-present reality, has reversed the process and impressed the subconscious from the conscious mind, from the external to the internal. In this way, the former is made to register impressions according to the thought of the unconscious mind at the time the impression is made. So this can still be good. We know this, that our teaching, you change those thoughts, your life's going to change. The circumstances are going to change within your life, but it's still translational. It's still about the outer world. In order for it to be transformational, we have to reverse that process and allow that super consciousness to be what creates in our world. So what do we do about this? So, I'm going to tell you, you're going to have to practice. You have to practice. And there's two ways to practice. And that is, daily living, daily practice. Just, Robert Brummett talks about practicing radical self-awareness. And that's simply practicing the awareness of our physical body during the day. Truly, our mind and our body during the day. So that just means a few times a day, you just stop and become aware of your physical body. Charlene's been teaching you some great, neuro wisdom where you tell the bell and you stop and you have that awareness. It can just be a mindful practice. Robert Brummett talks about what he tries to do is he says, I try to be aware of my hands when I'm sitting, just be constantly aware of my hands, or my feet when I'm walking. So this is his, bringing this into this daily practice. I'm going to lead you through this little practice in a few minutes that helps you ground into the thinking, the feeling, and the hearing, the sense of your senses in a few minutes. But in Shenzen's theory, he calls these micro hits. So it's just a micro hit. You just stop. And so it can be, when I get up in the morning, I brush my teeth, or when I make my coffee, maybe when we're finally driving again and commuting, or, or in the shower, or, you find a moment, you make that intention, you have to make that intention, write it down, make this intention. This week I'm going to practice, you know, being aware of my hands when I'm sitting, and so just these little bits. This is a daily practice. And then there's the formal practice. And that's what we resist, right? We resist, I don't want to sit down, you know. But what I suggest is 10 minutes. 10 minutes. If you're doing daily practice and you're doing 10 minutes of a formal seated practice, then you're good to go. You're good to go. And there'll be major changes in your life. So if you already have a meditation practice, great. Just keep that up. Keep that up. Any meditation practice will do, because they're all strengthening these skills: is concentration, sensory clarity, and equanimity. And I'm gonna move you through just a really quick little meditation to help you maybe get inspired about a formal practice. So the path made clear. When the vision is clear, the decision is easy. When Robert and I were clearing that path, we had a very clear goal, very clear vision. We had a strategy. We got really good at our strategy, and we moved forward. So when our path. So what is your path, right? What is your spiritual path? Like what path do you want to make clear? What is it that you see on the other end? Mine continues to be to heal that illusion of separation, to awaken to my own innate oneness with the divine, but also my innate oneness with others and with the planet and with the world. And that informs all that I do. So what is yours? What's this vision? What path are you making clear? And then and what the great thing is that you don't really have to know how to get there. You just have to start the shoveling, right? You just have to start with that one step, which is that mindful awareness of your senses. It's pretty much it. So I love that Dr. Ernest Holmes, on the very first page of the Science of Mind textbook, he writes this. It's kind of in his dedication page. He says, "These lessons are dedicated to that truth which frees us from ourselves and sets us on the pathway of a new experience, which enables us to see through the mist to the eternal and changeless reality." That's what the Science of Mind, that's what our teaching is dedicated to free us up from ourselves, free us up from the external world, free us up from those that world of effects, and set us on the pathway of experiencing that eternal changeless reality within. And that's where we create. So let's practice for a few minutes. And so if you just you don't even have to close your eyes if you don't want to. But if you choose to, you can close your eyes. And I'm just going to guide you in just this little practice. And what I want you to notice is if you're really judgmental about it, or you have questions about it, or you don't think you're going to do it right, no problem. Just no problem. Just do it the way you do it. And however you do it is going to be just fine. Even if you don't have all the answers, just practice to the best of your ability in this moment. So what I want you to do right now is you just take a nice deep breath in. Just allow your body to relax, however that looks. And we're just going to take a little tour of the senses so you get a feel for it. So just right now, I just want you to notice what's going on in your body. Just notice, again, we're practicing equanimity, no judgment, just what is. So you can start with a physical experience of your body, what you're feeling. It could be you can feel the chair underneath you, or your feet on the floor. You can feel the air in the room, or the temperature of your body. Just whatever you're feeling physically around your body. Just take a moment to do that. And now if you've been touring your body, you might notice that there's maybe some emotion in your body. We think sometimes of emotion as being in the head, the thoughts, but we often carry emotion in our bodies. So if you're having emotion right now, you might think, well, what am I feeling right now? Am I feeling happy, content, irritated, scared, sad, hungry? Whatever it is, just if you're feeling an emotion right now, just try to find it, locate it in your body. What's the shape and the feel of it in your body? And you can let that go. And now I do want you just to open your eyes for a moment because we're just going to practice what we see in the physical world. And so we can just look around and just notice, you know, what are you seeing in your world right now? Just take a moment, note it. And then close your eyes again because we have a visual screen as well. It might seem right behind your eyelids as you close your eyes, and it could be blank. It could be, have some shadows on it from the light. But there might be pictures. If I said right now for you to think of a banana, do you get a visual picture of that? And where do you see it in your mind? So just take a moment to become aware of your inner visual screen. And again, if you don't see anything, no problem. And then let us just move to the sense of hearing. And again, you can notice what you're hearing in your outer world. You're obviously hearing my voice. You might hear the hum of the air conditioner or the sounds of the birds outside. Just take a moment to really note what you're hearing in your external world right now. And then just move inside to your internal hearing world. And this is where we talk to ourselves. If you're having internal dialogue, however you experience that, just notice. Notice if you're talking in your head right now, or maybe it's peaceful, maybe it's restful, maybe you're just really um, not having internal dialogue. Just allow yourself to experience that. And so we're just going to take a few moments to do this practice. And what I would like for you to do, and again, no judgment, no need to be concerned about it. However, you're doing it, you're practicing concentration, sensory clarity, and the practice of equanimity. Just allow it. But I want you to take a few moments and just with free flowing awareness, just note for a moment what you might be seeing, hearing, or feeling at any moment. And when you've noticed it, just keep on that awareness for a moment until your mind drifts to something else. And just allow yourself to note that. So I might notice that right now I'm feeling my hands on the desk. So that would just be, I feel that, feel. Oh, I just heard a truck drive by here. I have my eyes closed and I see an image of all of your faces on Zoom. And so that's see. And just allow yourself, we're just going to take a few minutes to do this. Just practice this sense of see, hear, or feel your sensory experience for a moment. Again, you can't do it wrong. However you do it is just fine. So we're just going to take a moment in the silence to allow you to do that. And if you're experiencing two senses at the same time, that's fine. Just pick one and then move on. And if you experience the same sensation over, that's fine as well. Just continue to label it. Good work. I'd just like all of us to kind of center into that heart space right now as we close this time together. I'm so grateful for this opportunity to have this practice together, to recognize that divine source that we're all awakening to, that's always there, always present, always available. And it's just our continuous practice of coming back to that awareness, to recognizing the allness of life, the source of love, the energy that moves through the leaves and the trees, that the breath that we breathe, the very air that we breathe is made up of this divine presence. And it's in this moment that I claim this truth, and I know that I am an expression of that one. If there's only one, then I'm it. And I claim this truth for myself, that I am this perfect, individualized, divine expression of the one. Because I can know this for myself, I can so easily and joyfully celebrate it and know it for everyone who might be listening to my voice at this moment. I definitely know it for those who are here with us live on Zoom and on Facebook and on YouTube. I feel the divine truth of each person uniquely showing up as this beautiful, radiating expression of God. And so it's my word that I speak today, that each of us have become radically self-aware of this divine truth within us. That as we go through our week, we take these moments to come back to an awareness of the senses that are going on within us. And as we do this, we become more clear of what it is that is creating in our life and how we are creating in our life. And we reverse that process from the outer to the inner, to the inner to the outer. We allow that divine, creative, powerful presence to move through that subjective law into our physical life, to create peace and wholeness and health and joy and wisdom and love. This is the truth that I know for ourselves. And as we know this for ourselves in this very moment, in our little world, we just expand that circle and we awaken to our innate oneness with each other in this moment. We just awaken to those that might be in this room with us, in this virtual room with us, those that might be in our homes or wherever we are in the moment, those that are within our cities and our towns and our places of work and all this whole process. Just expand that circle of awareness of your innate knowingness of the oneness with each other to include our whole world and all life, and awaken to our oneness with our planet, this beautiful globe. And know that those who are in the greatest need this moment for support, for love, for nurturing, for safety, that divine presence is moving through them now as well. And that there is support, there is health, there is safety, there is love. And as we breathe back into our physical bodies in this moment, just feel that sense of gratitude, of love for this knowingness, this truth, and for that law that does create for us. And simply let us together, let it go, let it be. It is done. It is done. And we celebrate this together by saying, and so it is. And so we let it be. And Nina's going to sing a song for us.
Thank you, Sunday. This song is called All Peace, All Love, but it's about this man named the Waver, who definitely lived in the conscious, not in his subconscious, was not being fed by his superconscious, until he had a very life-changing event where he started walking as his meditation. And his chant, his mantra was all peace, all love, and understanding fills my heart and shines throughout the world. And that's my song. All peace, all love, and understanding fills my heart throughout the world. Some may know the waver who gave this gift of words. Traveling man, no stranger, he says God is his source. These words are carried in the heart of the world. Just for today, I will trust. Sing it home. All peace, all love, and understanding fills my heart. All peace, all love, and understanding shine throughout the world. Opening, learning, trusting, compassion from all. Melding visions together in the sacred space of the world. Standing for integrity and walking my talk. Authenticity and peace. All peace, all love, and understanding fills my heart. All peace, all love, and understanding shine throughout the world. All peace, all love, and understanding shine throughout the world.
Thank you, Nina. All right. So this is our time of just acknowledging gratefully the support that we receive, not only for ourselves, but for our community, our CSL Leesburg. So if you are someone who has benefited from our presence, either online or physically in person, there's lots of ways for you to share your love with us. You can text donation, you can use Cash App, you can mail it to us. You can PayPal it to us. You can deliver it, hand deliver to my house. And so whatever it is that you share with us, we're so grateful because we continue, our expenses continue as we're online, and we're just grateful for your support. So whatever it is that we're giving, let's just say this affirmation together. Well, the presence of spirit within me blesses everyone I meet, tends to heal everything I touch, brings gladness into the life of everyone I contact. Therefore, I'm a blessing to myself, to humankind, and to the day in which I live. And so it is. So I'm going to change up the service just a little bit because we're running a little short on time. So I'm just going to go straight to announcement of pearls, and then maybe we can have Nina and Leanne's video as our closing song, and we'll do it that way because we really want to see you guys' video. But let's move on right now. And Charlene, she has got it all together. She's doing a lot of work for us. She's doing her weekly meditations on Tuesdays, her neuro wisdom, which is a mini course she's doing, and you don't have to have done it before. So if you're practically new and you just want to go Tuesday mornings at 9 a.m. Eastern time, you can go to our link at cslleesburg.org and just click on that link. But she's got something new that's really fun. I went to it this last week. It's dream exploration. That's on Thursdays, also at 9 a.m. Eastern. And so that's open to all. If you want to join Charlene and all the wonderful things she's doing for our center, Tuesday, Thursday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern time, you can find the link on our website. And so this is our time of pearls. We're just going to take a moment for sharing whatever it is that you'd like to bring forward from our service today, what you might be taking with you, what insights. And this is where we just open it up. If you on our Zoom call, if you're on Facebook and you have a pearl, you can type it in, and Charlene or somebody you can read it out loud. So maybe Sharp, you can stop the share for us, and so we can see each other if you're on Zoom. This is the benefit of coming on Zoom, is you get to see everybody and we get to kind of share. So who would like to share a pearl with us today?
It's Erin. As I just for sake of time, I'll just say that was one of those. This is one of your talks where you go really deep, and I appreciate and love you for that. And I wrote down many things, so I can't mention them all.
Yeah. Sorry about that. No fluff for me today. Tamara.
Again, what Erin said, lots of notes. The results of practicing mindfulness, we gradually cease to project our inward deficiencies out into the world. And that's a good one to chew on this week. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. Anyone else? All right. Dan, are you trying to share?
No.
All right. So we have a special treat. We have a video by Nina and Leanne, because Leanne is here with us today, but she can't share because it doesn't work on Zoom. So they did a little recording, and so we get to hear Nina and Leanne. This can be our closing song. So Nina, take it away.
I hold you, feel my love. As I look at you, I hold you, feel my love. A slight bit of warmth, a little more sun. A walk in the woods as it hums alive. There's a breeze straight from heaven, a fragrance I've missed just when I needed it. I hope you feel my love. As I look at you, I hope you feel my love. Robins, cherry trees, tulips, daffodils, the grasses are greener, the colors explode. It's soft and it's sweet, a glorious release, just when I needed it. I hope you feel my love. As I look at you, I hope you feel my love. God gave me hope today, just when I needed it. Called on the me inside, called me to come outside and share in the dance. Come alive in the love, just when I needed it. I hope you feel my love. As I look at Feel my love and share in the dance. Come alive in the love. Just when I need it.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. So great to have you two together and sharing your gift with us. All right, so let's just do our closing affirmation. Just close your eyes, place your hand over your heart, and just say out loud, I am love. Open your eyes, and whoever is in your presence, if you're on our Zoom, you can look at us. If it's in your mind's eye, the people you love, say you are love, you are love. And it's all love. Spend some love sprinkles around. Thank you all for being with us today. And if you're on our Zoom call, please stay and share some social time. If you're on Facebook and you want to jump over to Zoom, you can do that. Go to our website, just click on that Zoom link, and you can come and talk with us, because we're going to have just a little sharing afterwards. So have a great day, and blessed Memorial Day as well.